Hello, welcome. I'm going to just I'll introduce myself for those who I don't already know. And I'll just share just a tiny little bit about what Community Academy is and Brand Together, this thing that we do every month. And then we will introduce our esteemed guest, Kelsey. And we'll get into some really meaty questions with her. So I'm very excited. Thank you all so much for joining today on this lovely Thursday. So, I'm Michelle. I'm one of the co-founders of Community Academy. We've been doing this for a couple of years now, which is wild to say, but with a vision and to inspire and sort of tool up more community builders out in the world, specifically those who are wanting to bring community in more into their brand and marketing strategy. One very fun little announcement that is going to require a screen share from me. Don't mind that you're going to see my Canva. Let me just get into, I had this presentation mode. It's covered now. There we go. Okay, so as of today, you are all the very first to see this fun, exciting news that we just launched our new website. Woo! Communityacademy.co. If anyone ever needs an incredible web designer, her name is Claire, so hit me up. I will totally refer you. She's so talented. And we've just launched this site that actually way better reflects what we actually do now at Community Academy, which is, well, it says it here, we architect community-driven growth. And it's through a combination of we host a community audit with brands. We do facilitated learning. So we've run workshops as a series before, and we'll be doing that again, likely in the fall. And we also offer embedded leadership. So sort of as a offering fractional support for those who are wanting to kind of relook at and reshape their marketing strategy to orient a bit more toward organic growth. Um, so that's us. We're really, really excited. And yeah, that's at communityacademy.co. I invite you to come and check it out. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Next, like I said, I'm going to introduce Kelsey. So, Kelsey and I, a little bit of context, we go way back. We both had the pleasure of working at the iconic stretchy pants brand, Lululemon, back in the day. And Kelsey has gone on to have an incredibly storied career. I use that word storied intentionally because Kelsey's one of like the best brand storytellers that I know. She worked at EA Sports. She launched her own agency called Mom and Pop Shop. She has worked with Sage. She has worked with just incredible brands, like iconic brands, really. And oh, I should mention Aritzia, just that small brand Aritzia. And through all of that, through all of her chapters, yeah, I've been in awe of how the way that Kelsey kind of combines this, like she's so operational and so strategic, and also believes in the power of telling stories as a brand as a way to grow and be meaningful. So welcome, Kelsey. Kelsey has recently, well, I guess it's been a year and a half now, you were saying,
Wow, yeah.
Vice President of Marketing for Organika. So welcome, Kelsey. We're going to start with, as we always do on our Brand Together calls. First, I'm going to just ask everyone in the room, the virtual room, to just type in the chat where you're joining us from. If you're representing a brand, you can call that out. And also, I'm curious, what's a community that you feel a part of that you can't imagine your life without? Maybe you can just share that with us. And while we do that, I'm going to start throwing some rapid fire questions at you, Kels. First one, what's your fave thing about Vancouver?
Great. Okay, because I obviously we chatted a little bit before, so this question had me really thinking because I was trying to think about like what do you say about this city? But what it actually there's two things. If we're gonna go for like iconic Vancouver, the seawall, that's where I go clear my mind, go on runs. I don't know, I just feel like it's a place to be close to the water. But underneath it, what I think the best thing or what I so I think I've been out here now 14 years, actually has been the people. I have been
Hmm.
able to meet like really amazing people in the city. And I think it's one of the things that Vancouver gets kind of like poo-pooed for because it isn't always the friendliest city. But yeah, just in reflection, I honestly think I've met some wicked people and Vancouver seems to attract a lot of like really creative, great humans. So yeah.
I second that. I agree. And I also recently lived in Seattle, which has a reputation for the Seattle freeze. I don't know what it is about, like maybe it's we're all too grumpy about living in the Northwest and like dealing with so much rain, but I agree that you can find absolutely incredible
They're
people.
there. They're there.
They're definitely there. Um, okay, what's one word that your friends would use to describe you?
Can I look at my phone? Because I did text a bunch of people.
Yeah, of course.
First of all, someone used a word I had to look up, so that's not great. But I was like, what does that mean? She's like, astute. I'm like, got it. But I don't know. They're all very kind, but strategic and vibrant, inquisitive, committed. I thought was into committed and loyal actually came up a few times. So there you go. There wasn't one though. I was trying to see if there's a theme. So either I'm a bit of a chameleon as a friend or yeah, I don't know.
I love. No, it's good. It's good to have like I actually love that you texted your friends to get some content on this because like we all should do that. Like every now and then, maybe once a quarter, just send something out to your friends. It's like, how would you describe me? What do you feel about me? How
You
nice to know
know,
about that.
on that one, I do feel like the feedback, like whether it's your work or who you are, I don't know, I really like it. So it's interesting to hear it from, especially, yeah, from the people that know you best because it usually surprises you what they actually,
Hmm.
so yeah.
How you actually show up for them. Okay,
Yeah.
one or I know you're currently consuming not one but two Organica products at
Yes.
once to balance
I'm
yourself
balancing
out.
myself out. Yeah.
But what is your one Organica product that you can't live without?
Uh, so it's a tie. Creatine, everyone, like all women, straight up, just take it. Just take it. You'll feel better. So I do take creatine every day. And then a product we have called Mind Calm. I know Zafira might remember this because I think I sang we've done some work together, but I shared a lot. It is a combination of magnesium, bisglycinate, inositol, and L-theanine, and it's just like a real good like calming product. I don't know. So highly recommend. I
Amazing.
took a couple
I'm
before.
so glad you said that selfishly because I actually just bought some and it just arrived and I'm so pumped. I
Yeah, I
can't
take it
wait.
every night. I like magnesium. Everyone should just take it. So that's why I didn't do that. But yeah, I love that product.
This is a very quick aside, but I was at an event last evening and there was a naturopathic doctor speaking about the world of perimenopause and it was just so interesting. And that was magnesium, what did you say?
Bisglycinate.
Thank
If you
you.
need to sleep, anyone on this phone needs to sleep because you're sleeping
Yeah.
a bit. Take a couple. I think it's like 400 milligrams before bed.
She said that was like a
It's
no-brainer.
the no.
Every
It's like
single,
the
yeah.
baseline. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so Mind Calm, everyone, just a little product plug there.
yeah.
We're switching gears. How many how many chin-ups can you currently do, Kelsey?
Oh my gosh. All right. Okay. Well, I told you guys I hurt my back, but right now, I'm at like anywhere between 3 to 5. But a year ago, I was at a full 5, but I hurt my back, so I had to like chin ups are very humbling. You think you can do them? Well, actually, you can't. They're just always hard. But it's my I'm working on it. So
Well, I've been challenged by you to just hang, just
yay.
physically hang there for a little bit and just see how long I can hold that for. And the goal is 1 minute. Is that right?
You want to hit one grip strength, you guys, determines your actual longevity. So I feel like this group, it's mostly women. I feel like if you're not getting inundated with this content, I'll keep sharing it. But yeah.
Hmm. Okay, last, this is another one word. Feel free to cheat like you did last time and share two
Sorry, you
as a
should know that
tie.
about me. I'm not good with rules.
One word to describe this season of your life.
Full.
Okay, I'm gonna choose to interpret that as like full, as in like it's so full of joy and love and adventure.
You
And I
gave me
also
one
know
word.
it
You
means,
want me to go? I can elaborate. You asked for one
yeah,
word.
tell us really quickly. Why not?
So I think it's a combination. I'm in a season of life where I have two kids that are in school. It's pretty full on. We're growing at Organika, so that is big. We've got like big brand ambitions, big growth. And I think it's like the combo of those two. It's just a very full season of life. Fun, full of fun, but also very full of a lot going on.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, that I have yet to reach that life stage where the kids are a bit older and like have so many demands of like driving everywhere, right? Like driving them everywhere, all the
Yeah.
activities,
Yeah.
etc. Okay, well, we're going to get into the heart of the questions that we've prepped. And then, yeah, this group who's listening in, just if you've got curiosities, questions for Kelsey, we're going to have time at the end. So make sure you kind of jot those down and make note. And we'll open the floor up after we get through these juicy questions. Okay, so looking back, I mentioned your incredible career with some like big name brands, Lululemon, EA, your consultancy, etc. So like looking back on that, where do you see that the thread of community has really shown up most consistently in your work?
Yeah, well, I was thinking back on this a little bit. I think where I was exposed, obviously, was like Lululemon with their community. And I'll just share, I was on in Lululemon, my role was much more sort of driving the business side, like the brand experience, doing what we called the weeklies, so like new product drops and being very held very accountable to hitting targets and numbers. And I will say from that vantage point, watching the community team, I may have had some envy because they were out there meeting with the community, bringing people in. And, at a junior stage in my career, I was kind of like, what? Like, come on, come help me. But in retrospect, kind of just thinking about that time, what it taught me, and I think the red thread is like at the end of the day, who you have to please and connect with is that consumer. And so for me, through like every role I've ever had, and it's played quite a big part. I'm not always the person overseeing all of it, but when we have the relationship with the consumer and they trust us, all the other stuff is easy. Do you know what I mean? Like we can make the big brand campaigns, we can show up for people, but if they literally don't feel any connection or want to be a part of the brand, very tricky. So it's followed me through like pretty much every role, even in a way, even in consulting, right? Like you're connecting with people, meeting with people, trying to build that trust. And I'm a big believer that the human connection, and I know we might talk about that later, it matters more than we think. I hope we can never measure it because then it becomes like a data point instead of something that like it's like a authentic belief in a brand or the wanting to belong, I think is the thing that people are looking for, and that will never change. And so the through line for me is really just like the importance of the community and the consumer at the heart of everything you do.
I think you just actually came up with the most brilliant like community KPI, which is like a sense of belonging, and you can't measure it. So
I really hope we never
don't
can.
even try.
That'll just like, I'm all for numbers. I love business numbers and I like appreciate it. And I definitely think that the minute we can measure that, the world that work that we do as brand marketers and marketers is gonna could get a little hairy.
Yeah, the original intent of the work ends up getting compromised potentially. Okay, quick follow up. So like again, this with having a community focus, was it always intentional? Or is it sort of like, you said you reflected back on that chapter at Lululemon and kind of realized, oh, what an impact it had over time. But yeah, maybe talk a little bit about that, what you've recognized in hindsight looking back.
Yeah, so I think in reflection, I don't think I realized how important it was to lay the groundwork in those early seeds. Like it seemed like, and I think sometimes this can happen in growing companies, and they're like, "Oh, community, like,
Yeah.
just having fun," or like those kinds of things. And it can definitely look like that. And it is fun. It is fun, but it's laying the long-term brand play is what it's doing. And so for me now, it's, and especially with where I'm currently at and what we're trying to do, like community is integral to having a successful brand and a successful business. Like you cannot do it without the people. So, um, yeah, I think in reflection, I don't think at the time I realized the importance of it. But when you look back at some of these, Lululemon being a great example of investing early on in one-to-one relationships with ambassadors, featuring them and everything, like no one could have said at that point that they'd honestly be like Olympic sponsors. Like all of that work is like
Yeah.
what led them, but that's 25 years
Of
of
groundwork,
investment.
of
And
foundation building.
I think that groundwork is overlooked right now. And I don't, it's a very hard thing to convey. And I will say, like, and Mishi would have experienced this, but trying to always like prove the value of it is a tricky thing. Because I'm like, I can't prove this to you until we like look back in 5 years.
Yeah,
So
we talk a lot about that in these conversations, and sometimes we throw a question in like, yeah, how do you approach like KPIs, return on investment when it comes to community? And I think we've had some really great great conversations about like even there's been some kind of almost controversial statements around like, yeah, you can't like don't try and measure it. It's not something to be measured. The second that you try and measure it, it loses its
Yeah.
it just loses its power, right? And so I've always found that like working with brands and organizations when there is a true belief and just like trust in the value of community, that's when like I feel like teams are then able to focus on like doing what's right for the community, what's right for the customers, rather than yeah, like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Like it can get really sticky and mucky.
Yeah, and you have to commit. It is a thing of getting like leadership aligned. Like we're committed to this, and here's what we're going to measure at this point, which I'd say in the place we're at, we're kind of leads, email capture that, which yes, does not directly yet show what they want to see, like in the numbers necessarily with revenue. But I was like, we can't, you got to have those honest conversations. You can't directly tie that now. But when you see brand awareness grow and you see more traffic come in, then we're going to see numbers, numbers go up. But it's a long play. Anything brand and community, it's the long game. And so you hope that you get to work with people who believe in it.
Always the best when
Dream.
that
Yeah,
happens
dream.
versus trying to push the big rock up the hill of understanding what is community. Okay, so next question, you've worked obviously across industries, right? And now you're in this new industry, which I love that you declared you wanted to work in the health space, and here this beautiful opportunity showed up for you with Organika. But yeah, sort of like these industries, they seem quite different on the surface. Okay, so like when you think about all your experience and you've always had this one thing in common, which is speaking to the consumer, speaking to the customer and trying to connect with them. What do you think people fundamentally want from brands, regardless of category?
Yeah, I think I actually said it earlier and you called it out. I think people just want to belong. And that sounds so basic and simple, but we want to find the things that we see ourselves in, that we connect to, that I think have some level. Whoa, sorry if you guys just heard my emails go off. Whoa, whoa. Sorry, I can't turn it off while I'm on this.
They're coming for you,
They're
Kelsey.
coming for me. But yeah, I think people ultimately want to feel a part of something. And it seems kind of like, yeah, a little bit benign or kind of basic, but we all want to affiliate. I have a 12-year-old right now, and with her, like, of course, like she just wants to fit in. I think on the grander scale, we all just want to fit in. So that's where brands, I think, are trying to find their people. And I think we're at a current sort of tipping point. For this right now of just like we came off of COVID, things were weird. Everyone's just like, I miss people. And I think we're seeing experiential and events and those connections just like level up because people, number one, want to get offline, even though nobody wants to believe it. We want to disconnect and then we want to reconnect with our people. And I hate to use the word tribe for all the reasons, but you want to find your connection point.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Is there if and this is totally throwing something at you. I'm putting you on the spot. Is there a brand that you feel like has just done this so well?
There's one that I'm following that I'm just fascinated by how they've done it. And it's sort of it's called Bobby. I don't know if anyone's following.
Oh, stop. Stop with it already. I'm obsessed.
I'm obsessed.
My claim to fame on that is, and maybe she'll watch this, so give her a little shout out, Jacqueline. She was on my team at Athleta, and she's now the marketing director at Bobby. And I'm like, you're crushing it, girl. Bobby is hot.
Yeah, I think on first of all, they like hit a community that's like overlooked all the times, which is like the mom at home just trying to like make it happen. The way they've been so bold with what they stand for and they don't waver. It's really strong. And I
Yep.
think then how they've like built a community that just like you, like I said, Zavira, I saw your comment and Michelle, you've been like, stop. People feel it. You just feel that. And I think I'm watching them obviously from a couple different angles. Obviously, they're sort of, I guess, maybe adjacent to the industry I'm in, but I think their branding, their community building, their treatment of the customer is, they've done something that many struggle to do in quite a rapid amount of time. The thing I find most fascinating is how they like offboard their people once you're done breastfeeding.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Say, I
I
don't know about this, so this is great.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
excited to learn.
it's like a really beautiful journey. And because of course I mean, let's hope that ends for most people that you're like done. Yeah, and they send you off. And I think what a really great opportunity in a way, like to be part of a community where you felt seen and heard, and then it's like all good for you to move on, you're gonna go tell the next person. Like
That's
they
it.
something that you can't manufacture that feeling after being like, oh my gosh, they just thought that little extra thing, or they're thinking about me. And I watched them. I did see them too. I saw the little team at, we all go to, or many people show up at, it's called Expo West. It's like a huge CPG
Yes.
event down in
Like the
Anaheim.
who's who's
The
of
who's
the
who, you can like
CPG
see
world.
everything. And I saw them. They're also just, their branding is great. They were like bumping around as a little team in these really cool jackets and like really stood
Yeah.
out as quite a little
Or
unique.
they've done their like slow-mo like walk through when they're going to like lobby like at
Yeah,
Congress. Like you're just
saw
like,
them. They had
yeah.
really cool swag. They weren't like, they don't have a booth or anything, but yeah, I think they just show up really, really well. But they really show up for the community, and they don't waver, and they don't waver for moms across all their platforms about what they're fighting for. And I think it's pretty cool.
I think that is honestly such a great example of a brand that like they've obviously they have a product. They're a product brand, right? Like they sell formula,
Yeah.
infant formula. And they naturally have a space where they can actually advocate and like push for social change, right? And they've just owned that and really doubled down. And I think, I've also had the experience working at certain brands in the past where, it was like looking at the cultural moments that are happening and like, okay, we have to show up for this, we have to show up for this, we have to show up for this. And it's like, okay, how about instead of saying we're going to show up for every single cultural moment, like you can't be everything to everyone. And I think Bobby is like such a great example of a brand that's carved out their niche, knows their what they're fighting for, that's bigger than their product. Though it's related, obviously they're fighting for like free access to infant formula the same way that you get a breast pump, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
And they're
they're
okay to like
incredible.
let that consumer journey wrap in a really
Yeah.
beautiful way, which means next kid or next person you're gonna like, they're creating that flywheel of like that referral that you can't really get, that word of mouth you can't get anywhere else. Like you can't buy that, you can't manufacture it. People have to feel it, and that's that like belonging thing again. Like you feel seen, you feel heard. They have a great product. I mean, you have to have a great product, or
Yeah,
these
it all falls apart if your
doesn't
product
matter.
sucks.
But yeah, I've been watching them a lot, and they're very active across their channels, LinkedIn as well, with like a different point of view. And they're a brand that I think is quite aspirational right now and quite unique with what's kind of going on in general in marketing.
I think we could have a whole like brand together conversation about Bobby, and maybe we'll get them on. Maybe
You
that's
should
my
get them
next challenge.
on.
Yeah.
Get them on. You should get them on.
Okay. All right, we're kind of shifting gears here to something like speaking of talking about kind of another example of community and how it's come to life. So like gaming, you worked in gaming and you kind of got a front row seat to this like surprise. I think maybe you were saying you were a little bit surprised by what you saw there in terms of the most engaged communities around gaming. So like tell us about your time working, with the brands inside of EA, like your FIFAs, your NHLs, your UFCs. Like what did that teach you about this notion of belonging, loyalty, community, identity, all of those things?
100%. This one is also like a bit of a segue in my career. I can't say that it was in my early days. I was like, you know where I'm going to work? Video games. Like it was not on the radar, which is like a lot of my moves, to be honest. I'm kind of like, oh, that sounds cool. But I was stunned at how committed and loyal the communities are within like overall gaming, but within their certain niche. Like there truly is. If you're looking for a place to belong and you game, you will find it because there's so many
Right.
games. But the interesting thing there, that I think EA has dominated, and it's across all their games, but yes, I worked mostly on sports titles, was how involved those super users, or we call them game changers, like those fans, come in and weigh in on the actual product. Like they're part of they bringing people in, or like those your game changers at the beginning, inception of product development. Number one, you got a loyal, like they love it. Plus, they're making the product even better for the rest of the community. The amount of influence some of these people had actually blew my mind. The at the time when it was FIFA, now it's just EA Sports are like they're no longer affiliated, but we
Okay.
were bringing the FIFA, like the group who are like kind of known as influencers. These guys had like 6, 7 million followers, making like millions of dollars off streaming. And people just like pain to be a part of it, to watch them play. And that literally, it did blow my mind, the amount of influence these younger folks had. Um, yeah, it taught me a lot about how to like leverage and work with that group, but also how to essentially, you've got to ask your community what they want. And that's exactly what EA has done with a lot of their games. Bring people in, focus groups, they come and test. Like they're very much a, you know, how EA says like, oh, you're in the game.
No,
Or like,
you're literally in
yeah,
the
that's
game.
like a double, you are, but like you are also literally helping build a game. And I think that I know we talked about it with some of Lululemon really pulled some things from that playbook, but I guess maybe going reverse from Lulu to EA was it was really, really fascinating to be a part of it, and just the sheer influence that the community had. If they were up in arms about something, the
Mm,
developers would listen. Like there was
yeah.
feedback constantly going back, and they were like, we got to change this because this group is so. Yeah, it was fascinating. Again, it wasn't on my bingo card for my career to go work in video games, but I'm very, very glad I did. I think I learned the most about community there because I did oversee kind of the digital storytelling and the game changers in community for those games. So it was really
That's
cool.
incredible. It's so incredible. I love that they were called game changers because they're literally changing the games.
Yeah,
I
yeah. I mean, they were good. They knew what they were doing there.
I can imagine. I think brands can tend to be really cagey sometimes about like, not like I don't know exactly what it is, but something around maybe not like holding close things like product development and campaigns and whatnot, messaging, but having the courage to sort of let go and almost ditch your ego. I would imagine there's almost ego involved. The people who are like, I'm hired to be an expert, like as a game developer, right? Like, no, if you can let go of your own ego around it and the brand can let go of that tight heldness and just like you open yourself up, the reality is you'll never get to the same place. Like you'll never get to as good of a place, frankly, right? Than if you actually have the community, your end users, part of
Absolutely.
the
I
journey.
think where EA was really great, and definitely there's controversial feelings about them from certain gamers, but they really did care about the player. So as we'd refer to like, I'll use customer or Lulu, we use guest, but the player is at the heart of everything they do. So they're very much pulled in early. And I thought it was really interesting because across the org, not just within, say, the marketing unit, but the developers wanted to know because they were actually driven knowing that like if I want to make a game, we want you to like it. And it does drive the business. So if a game flops because of that,
Yep.
your business is at risk. So really investing to get the feedback doesn't mean everything was action, but get the feedback, make the product better, change things. But then also, then you have this group of like loyal fans. I will say though, they had an incredible amount of power. Like you would be surprised at like
Mhm.
the kind of if things were bubbling up in chat groups and things, it was the community was very powerful there. They could drive the change they wanted across those top games. It was pretty impressive.
That would be such a cool case study to kind of dissect, like again. Yeah.
There's a lot of passion with gamers, like passion. So you definitely heard from them. And if I think the group that you want to keep as close is those ones with the influence, because they could really, they had enough power to make very quick changes in the game if they weren't happy. And it's live, right? So while the games are delivered and you like go and buy your PlayStation and your game, um, they're constantly making changes throughout the
Sending
season.
updates, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was live. It was pretty crazy.
That's amazing. Okay, thanks for sharing. Thanks
Yeah.
for bringing us along that journey that maybe some of us just don't have a good lens into. Maybe we do. I'm not making any
You'd actually be
assumptions.
surprised. I will say
Yeah,
more
I
people game
like the
than you
number of
think.
women
More people,
gamers.
a
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, more people game than you think.
If I had more time in my life, maybe.
Yeah, but EA probably, I mean, I don't know. It's funny. Yeah, they do have a lot, but lots of women do play. I was always surprised when I took the role there and people were like, oh my God, I love that game. And I was like, huh, who knew that you
Noted.
game? Yeah.
Okay, I want us to make sure I want to make sure we have a chance to talk about Organika, this world
Yeah.
that you're building right now. So obviously the wellness space, it's crowded, and especially if you're spending time on TikTok, if you're like that's where you really realize the extent of the crowding. But how's Organica thinking differently, I guess, as computer, like when it comes to community and almost carving out a competitive edge, um, in this really crowded, really busy, noisy space?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've at least been sort of chatting about is wellness can feel pretty exclusive. It can also feel extremely complicated. So Organica is a brand that can slot right in there. We definitely want to make sure everyone has access to health, and so we're sort of exploring that path of what it would look like to be less like kind of what you see like the Instagram brands, like the ones that have popped up and they're just like here for a hot minute because it's whatever. It's
You mean the Irish sea moss brands? Is that what
I'm not
we're...
gonna call anyone out, but you know where they or people taking, I would say, not advantage, but like maximizing the current trends that are
Yeah,
going on.
whatever's hot and whatever's trending.
Whoever
Is
thought
it
because it
peptides? Is it sea moss? Is it
yeah,
whatever? Red
yeah,
light
100%.
therapy. Yeah.
And so they pop up a brand, it looks great, they'll send you all their AI ads, and like that's that. But we have true history and legacy in this space.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Is Organica has been around for,
35 years.
wow, okay. Epic. Yeah.
Epic. And I don't know, but
Heritage brand, may we say?
absolutely. But a lot of people don't know that. And so that's obviously one thing too we're focused on is like really from both community and brand is making sure people are really we bring that messaging stronger forward. People understand that we're Canadian. We have very high standards for how we create product. Safira knows a little bit about this because we did some work together. So it's we're focused on community for sure. How we're going to enter that might be a little bit different than some of the other places you see. Obviously, I can't say a ton right now, but it's like that plus sort of the quality and integrity that we have in our products that is something no one else can people can't catch up to us on that. Like not many people. There's a few big brands, you'll know them, have some of the history.
Yeah.
Um, but I think they don't necessarily have sort of our innovation, the integrity we have with our suppliers, with our sourcing, all of that, like long time relationships. And then those who are in our community currently, they love us. They're the most loyal, and they keep coming back. And so our real opportunity we're looking is how do we make sure more people know about us, know our story, um, and that we focus again. For me, it's always community, consumer, whatever word we want to use. Like they're at the heart of everything. So whether we're creating a product, whether we're creating an event, which we're
Mhm.
starting to do more of, so stay tuned.
So, yeah,
Yeah, you're
mark your
going to see us pop
calendars,
up
save the dates.
a lot this summer. There's a lot more happening for us as the company is invested in building out this arm of the business.
Oh, it's so exciting. I'm so happy to hear that you've got like that you're leaning into this area because I think yeah, it must be with the maybe some headwinds. I don't know if you would consider this a headwind, but like the trust building, right? Like I feel like you see these big scary headlines around like there's lead in all powdered what supplements or
Yep,
whatever,
all protein.
or
Yep.
like heavy metals or what have you, microplastics. Like I think, um, and there's a lot of claims out there, right, from in the
Yeah,
wellness industry. Like I've seen a ton that are making really bold claims about like what it's going to do for you within a very short period of time, and you're like, how do you really need to like push up against that as a brand like Organica that has this history and like such high standards.
absolutely. And we really do have high standards, and that's part of the thing that we want to share with everyone, more deeper than we probably have previously. Those who know, like there's definitely the hardcores and they're aware, but where we have the opportunity where we want to continue to educate and share more is like more on that. I will say Canada, like Health Canada is like regulates us. Like we're
Yeah,
regulated by
which
them.
is good. They're doing a good job, I
And
think.
and we
Yeah.
have like all of those things. We have very rigorous testing, very rigorous sourcing. So kind of I think when you ask like how's community the red thread, part of where we need to really focus is making sure people know that about us. Like I said, the hardcores know. They're the ones who've been
Yeah.
shopping with us for like 20 plus years. Like I'm not joking, like 20 years. Like we have some people
Hmm.
that have been with us from the get-go. And now it's sort of bringing that to newer audiences, maybe even younger audiences on this because the trust factor is huge. And just for everyone's own, you should be reading labels and you should make sure, like, yeah, they are regulated by Health Canada. It's stringent here. The US is a whole different can of worms. I don't know, Mish, how much you know. They're a little like more loosey-goosey, but in Canada, we're held to the claims. And
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. For sure. And I think it's super important. You're like, people are trusting you as a brand with things they're putting into their body, right? And things that they might not even fully understand, right? It's just like, oh, I just heard you should be taking this. Okay, I'm going to take it. Versus actually understanding like what's needed, what's the physiological connection, like what's the personalized approach that needs to be at play.
Absolutely. I think that's a huge thing too, is we do, we do our best to provide that information as well. There are, if you want access and help, our customer service team is incredible and can make recommendations and guidance. And that's another area we haven't necessarily pushed as broadly, that we do
Yeah.
have internal RHNs. The products are made and formulated very specifically with, of course, like all the stringent testing and rules around what that can be and can't be.
Okay, I'm gonna make a declaration here. I feel like customer service teams should be part of the community like department, I guess. I know a lot of brands don't technically have a community department, but when I think about or brand, right? Like when
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
your CX teams are on the front lines and they are like there's such an opportunity, I feel like. And you mentioned
100%.
the Bobby thing where you're sent off with care. Like it's those teams that are on the front lines every day engaging and like finding opportunities to wow and go above and beyond and like over deliver. I think it's like can't be underestimated.
Agree. And to be CX does sit on my team. So it sits within its not
Amazing.
brand community. It's moving into the brand space.
Yeah.
But yeah, we see this voice of customer, but they're the last touch. They're the ones, if someone's not happy, that we have to make things right. Uh,
Hmm.
and then also, yeah, surprise and delight. So I agree. I think CX is one of those teams that, yeah, gets kind of, I wouldn't say here. I think we're all very tapped in. They send reports. We know what's going on. We have very aggressive goals for what we see from success, like the kind of NPS rating we're wanting to see,
Yeah.
not only from like B2C, but also B2B and also our vendors. Like all of that is something where we have really high goals that we want to achieve and make sure that all relationships are good and that all customers, however you interact with us, are getting that kind of really great experience across the board. And this is up to exec level. Like this is yeah, or borderline, I'd say company wide. It's a real investment.
So love up your CX teams, I think is what we're saying.
Honestly, they're a channel. That's the way I look at them
Mhm.
from a
Their
marketing
channel.
perspective. They're a channel. And so it's been kind of one thing I've sort of been trying to bring in more to the work is like when we're planning campaigns, when we're planning executions, please bring the CX team along because they're also the ones sometimes if they're last to know who are like, and
Yeah.
we know.
Why didn't you
But
tell me us about this? Yeah.
yeah, it happens, but they have amazing insights. Like they're the ones who hear it. They're on the ground all the time, kind of handling all the questions, all the comments, feedback, good or bad, depending. Most of us is good, but you have those moments where you got to make things right. And yeah, they need to be further up in the planning process.
100% agree. Okay, I'm so glad we had that little like side channel on CX.
Yeah, I
So
love
so
those
great.
guys. It's a hard job too.
Um, yeah, I love that it is. You're like, no, it is on my team. Yes, doing it right. Um, okay, I think let me just see if I'm going to throw one more question at you, and then we're going to open up the floor for some really great conversation. Oh, we can't skip this question, obviously. So we are in a digital and not deviating away from human-led
Yeah.
marketing. And so, what is this push? What is this trend? Whatever you want to call it, reckoning. What is this saying to us about the importance of building authentic relationships?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm sure if everyone here is marketing or touches it, AI is like, it's here to stay. We got to figure it
Mhm.
out. My personal point of view on it, so I'm not speaking as an organization, just to be clear there, but I think
Yeah.
it's going to be the unlock for acceleration of work, which we're already seeing. So if you're marketing, you got to learn it. We all have to be on it. But I think what it's going to do two things from my point of view. I think it's going to, from a say maybe brand and creative standpoint, push a desire for craft. Like I think we're going to see everyone be like, everyone's questioning right now, right? Oh, is this even real? And like it's cool. Like you got to get product shots. I'm like, honestly, if you can speed that up and not do a full e-commerce shoot,
Yeah.
let's be real. Like that could save a company millions of dollars. At the same time, humans want the story and they want to see the art. And so it's going to be an interesting thing there. I think the craft is going to become more special and it's still going to be something wanted. So I don't know if anyone here is like writers or designers, anyone listening to this, like I don't think the work is gone. I think it's changed. Then from a community perspective, man, this is going to force us to want to be together even more. I think you're seeing it. You're
Yeah.
seeing experiential and events pop up. And I think, I don't think fundamentally that'll ever change because we're still, hopefully we don't do anything crazy like Wally, but we're still humans. We still need a connection. We need to be together. So I think what we're going to see is like digital just speed up and like everyone's just going to be trying to be the fastest to, but then I also think people are getting more savvy and are, I hope, critical thinking a little bit more about whether this is real or not, and then what they actually want from brands, which I think is going to go back to that, like not back, but a different version of that deep sense of belonging and connection. Um, yeah, I just
Yeah, and then when we were
remove it.
chatting about this yesterday briefly, I also felt like the call out around like have like going having the experience under your belt to as let's say as a marketer to be able to like spot what like what's good what's like to like yeah I'd say like what AI is spitting out 'cause, like at first blush you're like wow like that's really
Yeah.
good like that's really like thorough but then when because you've got like the experience under your belt to know how to like tease it apart and say like actually that's not going to work in real life that's not going to fly there's no like practical way of actually undertaking this is wishful thinking or just like critical thinking around it like how are we going to preserve that.
Well, it's interesting because I actually did a chat for some UBC solder students, and I did feel for them because I was like, man, this is a rough time to be coming into the workforce. One, I'll just share like one kid, he had me laughing because he was just like, what's the point? And I was like, yeah, I feel it. I mean, my advice to them was to still go and like get, like, if you can find the mentor, the person who's actually physically done it, because I do believe I think AI is shifting things both for good and probably some stuff that we'll learn after the case, not great, like in
Mhm.
sort of big tech digital moment we've found. My advice to them had been go like learn from someone if you can and gather that experience because like I think that's also our jobs as those of us who've been around a bit longer to teach what's good,
Yeah.
what's not good. We all had the opportunity to make those mistakes. And yes, I can look back to some of the work I did and be like, ooh, to quote the kids, like cringe, but you do it and then you learn. And I feel for them where like, yes, you're getting spit out this perfect plan, but then when you try to execute it, it doesn't connect or doesn't work. So I think in a way, those of us a little bit further in our careers have a bit more ability to leverage these tools in a way that makes our work faster. I think for the younger gen, it's going to be tricky because you haven't made all your mistakes yet. And not to say
Yeah.
that we don't make mistakes later in our career, of course, we like learn, but that's been an interesting thing I've just been observing, even with like sort of, I've got quite a broad range of folks on the team and trying to share like, okay, like love that it can spit this out. Can we actually do it? What would it look like? I
Right.
personally use it more for like formatting, idea generation. We're leveraging a lot for like for concepting stuff. Oh my goodness, like just to get an idea across, good like FPO, like let it rip. Um, but yeah, I think it's a really interesting time. And I think it's kind of like when chat was sort of first hitting, people were like, every copywriter's never gonna have a job again.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
very
their
like
jobs are,
doom.
yeah, their jobs are changing to like now you need to train these things to be the best they can be. And
Hmm.
from my perspective, you still need to have a human read that at the end of the day. Just quickly, does it look good? Does it make sense? Is it answering what we needed to answer? Do we need to tweak this? But I think yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think the doom and gloom, I don't believe it, but I feel for our younger folks because it's
Yeah.
you don't actually have to like write a brief and deliver
Write
it.
a shitty brief,
Write a shitty brief,
get burned for
get
that.
creative back, then give
Yeah.
feedback, and then get the designer to be like, well, that's not what you said. You got to learn from those. Like, who hasn't had to eat some humble pie because they didn't do all the work up front? Like, that's tricky for them. But I think if folks can find yeah, mentors who've done it a little bit, go and ask the questions. I mean, I don't know, take your chat GPT thing, whatever, and like ask. But we'll see.
Mhm.
I think critical thinking is going to be the skill set that the future needs. So we will see.
Yeah, critical thinking, creativity, because like at this current state, AI can only really derive from what's already been, right?
Yeah, I think people need to, I hope people remember, but like it's gathering information across the internet in like kind of a like at taking a median average. Like it's not
Yeah.
like it's coming up with its own, you can maybe push it to help you come up with a better idea or like poke your thinking. But again, I think people have learned how to brief or have done strategic work, kind of know the questions they want to ask to get a better answer for themselves. Like I am usually asking my good friend Claude to like rip my work apart.
I like
Rip
calling Claude, by the way.
Claude.
It's very so French,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, Claude, I mean, it's an amazing tool. I'm floored by
Yeah.
it. It has saved me hours of like trying to make a PowerPoint look nice, like great
Yeah.
at like just that. But I think, yeah, it's a really interesting time. I think critical thinking, creativity, and how you use the tool. And I actually think finding some guidelines around how you're going to use this, because actually this hits the brand again, is are you going to hit a point where you lose trust?
Right.
So either you're
If
full
you
on,
make decisions that like might actually like,
yeah,
yeah.
well, you got to be transparent. Like, I think Aerie has done a good job. You know, they did their whole advertisement or whatever campaign with Pam Anderson. Love Pammy. She made such a powerful
Mhm.
comeback. But about like they're not using, they continue to not use Photoshop. They're like, we're not using AI people. That's
Yeah.
their stance and they're open. So it's great. And I
Good.
think
I'm glad they're declaring it. Can they
they
stick to
declared
it?
it. It was really great. It was really, really great. But I think that's going to be for communities. When I think about it, they're going to want to know upfront, are you showing me actuals? Are you being real with me? Because it's
Hmm.
gonna be really, it's already hard to tell.
It's getting harder and harder to
Harder.
decipher.
Yeah.
Okay, my friends, I promised there would be time to throw any questions that you have to Kelsey. So let's move into that part of our time together. Who is curious? I haven't been monitoring the chat because usually there's two of us usually. So, um, but if anyone wants to hop off mute, please, I invite you. What do you want to know from Kelsey? Or even just what do you want to add to the conversation?
I have a question.
Okay. Go.
Kelsey, so I know you talked about just everyone wanting to know that Organika has been around for, 35 years and hopefully, Organika wants to be seen as a legacy brand eventually or be known as that. And what do you think keeps CPG legacy brands really strong and relevant over time?
So that's such an interesting question because I'm like, I don't know, and anyone jump in. I can't think of necessarily one right now I think of as a legacy brand. I can think of the like the ones you know, like the brands you recognize because they got in early, they went full mass, but they don't like, I don't know if you just buy them because they're there and not because you're necessarily
Mm.
connected to them. So I I think like that's a space obviously we'd like to go move into is be that the brand you choose all the time. But I don't know, it's a good conversation. I'm constantly kind of like exploring and seeing like who are there, what is like the competitive set that's similar to us. And there really isn't something exactly like Organica, which is obviously extremely cool. But I don't I think with the ones that maybe we can call them legacy, I think they were just first to market and they just went big and they just took over shelf and they retained it. And then actually from that, what they've done then is opened up, like other countries, regions, spaces because they were just so big. And they're the ones that like your parents, your grandparents probably just gravitate to buy because it's convenient, not necessarily because they love the brand. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's like you kind of just become the default choice over time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. And I maybe too, it's only in the last what maybe since COVID in a way that like wellness is just like booming into the next level. Like if we think about, or I find it really fascinating, having like being like an 80s kid and like, growing up more in the 90s and just university and times and like everyone's making much different decisions about where they spend their time, how they spend their money, if they're going out, what they're partaking in. Like the rise of non-alc and all of this is interesting because even 10 years ago, it really wasn't like that. So I feel
We
like
were making different choices.
we're making some poor choices if we're being honest, but the kid like people are making better choices now. And I think this focus on I think it's getting a little crazy with like biohacking. I was like, oh my gosh, like you can't optimize everything. Like we already have enough stress, but I think people taking their health quite seriously is a shift than what it was maybe when those brands also started. So people are like, oh, I need my vitamin C and whatever. And now we're trying to find the right curated stack for ourselves. So I think the personalization of health too is quite fascinating, and we're seeing it right with all your wearables. So yeah,
Thanks.
of course.
Bye, Kari. Thanks for joining. Anyone else want to throw a question out into the group?
Okay.
If not, oh, Morgan, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I really loved what you had to say about like experiential marketing and really community building. I think that's so big right now and so important, and just a really authentic way to build your audience and build brand loyalty. Um, Especially in the wellness space, do you find like hosting collaborations or pop-ups or tapping into communities like run clubs, like what sort of things, I guess, is Organica keeping their eye on or looking into? Because I've certainly seen a lot of like the run club in my community, Organica is sponsored,
Yeah.
and it's been great. But yeah, just I'm really interested to hear if there's anything else kind of on your radar.
Give us
Yeah.
the
Well, there's
dirt on your full community strategy, Kelsey.
there is a lot.
Unveil
There's
it to us.
there's a lot happening right now. I would say we're doing a lot of first of all, we want to be where the customer, where the community is. So yes, you're going to see more of us, Morgan, this summer. Where I think the team told me that we're hitting like 55 events right now. We're really getting into like collaborations, looking to go local first. Connect. We're Vancouver based. Like we want to. Sometimes people don't even know that. To be honest, before I started this job, I had no idea. So really connecting with our local communities here. Partnerships are great for us, collabs are great for us, and we ultimately want to get in front of the. It's not like I'd say like we're not looking for people who are like, I'm gonna PB my like Iron Man. Like that's amazing, but we're really wanting to be like, listen, everyone needs health to be accessible and we want to support you whatever your journey, wherever you want to go. And it could be like one step is like, hey, I joined the run club, I'm doing 5K and we're like wicked, we'll hydrate you at the end of that. That's it. Like we're not trying to be like, oh my God, like we're not in the competitive space necessarily. If you are that person, of course we have product for you, but we really want to just support people in living healthier. So that we're starting to show up a lot more in those clubs that you'll see along here. Also partnering up with like maybe other sort of wellness institutions. We've done some collabs with like some are upcoming with Tality. We've been in with Teva. So just like trying to be where the people are, not trying to create something that doesn't already exist. Because for us, we know we're really here to support your health journey. We're not here to tell you how to do it right. We just want to give you the opportunity to, maybe being hydrated today is enough for you to feel a bit better. And that's kind of where we're aiming. So you will see us pop up a lot this summer. The team is going hard. And I'm always open to feedback if you think there's other events or other places we should show up.
I mean, I was thinking that with Seawees coming back,
Listen, I did knock on that door.
I know I was like, who are they already in bed with, and
That's
how
always
can you
tricky,
boot
right?
them out? No,
I've got
yeah, like
connections.
to me, I'm like, okay, Seawees, like what an incredible like if you're focusing on kind of local,
100%. Yes.
connection.
One day,
Yeah,
future state, let's
one day, that's a good goal for us to work towards for
of
sure.
course.
Um, I have one maybe final question here. Yeah, like, was it challenging for you to break into like the CPG space? Like without the experience? Like, how did you convince them to hire you?
This is this is a really good. I've learned a lot in the last year and a half. Um, so I don't even quite know where to start with this question. It wasn't necessarily hard, and my journey here was like some conversations and some reach outs. So that's sort of how I came to Organica a little bit organically. Oh God, guys, that's terrible, but that's sort of how it happened. Um, I've learned a lot. I'd say specifically like CPG management or category management is an area that I've learned a ton about. Having come predominantly from D2C brands, it is quite different when you're working with, 5,000 plus retailers across Canada, Walmart, Costco, Amazon. So I've really had to put on my own learning hat and kind of jump in. I'm fortunate to have be able to be building a team and have some of that expertise coming in-house to help support. But I think in the beginning, when I think about it, there's so many things I didn't ask that I just didn't know. But to me, I think when I look back on my career, which it sounds weird to say. I've been able to learn a lot from every step's been kind of a arguably a weird one. From going from Lululemon to EA, like random, not really a connected step, but it gave me a lot about like EA gave me the community stuff. So here, having CPG experience to me just rounds out a skill set. Like I am a very broad marketing person, for lack of a better term, and I like it. I like to learn it because each little bit gives you something that you can bring to the next one. But yeah, it's been a learning curve for sure. I'm in it right now. We're doing our like annual planning, and so I'm really learning a lot. But I find it fascinating because the opportunities are just quite. It's just a different way to market, which is kind of an interesting challenge.
You are very quickly becoming the most hireable CMO out there. So,
Oh, I'm not a CMO. I'm not a CMO, but
oh, I mean,
VP
clearly
profit.
you report into the founder,
I
the
do,
CEO.
but it's all good.
So,
I'm always learning. Like I don't want to ever pretend that like to me titles like it's they are what they are, but like, being able to learn CPG is a great yeah, it's a really cool thing. And then I think having experience from D2C brings I think that's partly probably why they decided to bring me in house as I bring a different point of view on how you put the consumer at the front because often in B2B, right? Like your focus is your partners, your retailers. Of course, we want them happy moving forward. Being a brand, how do we think about leveraging these guys in a different way, which is some other things that we're ideating on as well.
okay, I'm going to do a little plug before we hop off. Follow, oh, it shows me as Krista, but it's me, I promise. I'm a human, I promise. Follow Organica Health. Follow Kelsey on the channels too. Why not? And we do these sessions every month. And it tends to be the second Thursday of the month anyhow, but stay tuned. We're gonna have another one coming up in July. We hope to see your faces there, and we thank you so much for joining. And Kelsey, thank you.
Gosh, thank you so
You were
much.
awesome. We're going to have this conversation replay. So if anyone wants to send this off to anyone in their lives, that'll be a great opportunity. And enjoy the rest of your week and weekends, everyone. And we'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks.
Bye, friends.